If you are able to buy, let's say, anything you want with the cash that you already have. Let's just say, for instance, you want to buy a phone and you have already saved up to buy this particular phone that you're looking for. So now the question becomes, would you buy it using cash or credit card? For some people, the choice is very obvious. If you already save up for the item, might as well just buy with cash, right? Yeah, if I were you, I would think the same as well. But sometimes the answer is not that clear-cut. Sometimes it is more complex than that. In this video, we'll discuss the pros and cons of paying cash or credit card, or in some people's terms, financing. You have saved up, let's say, 3,000 ringgit to buy a brand new phone that you've been eyeing at for the longest time. But at the same time, your cash flow is a bit tight. Maybe for the next 6 months or 1 year, you are not really comfortable living budget to budget. And even though you have that money, would you go and buy that phone outright with your savings? Or you would rather go and, let's say, use a credit card? So the first pro of paying with cash is, of course, instant ownership. The item is already completely yours and you can do whatever you want with it. And of course, if you pay cash, you have a peace of mind. Some people think that peace of mind is a greater value of paying cash, and it is no wonder why some people just like to buy things with cash. Doesn't matter if the value is high or low. Some people even buy cars with cash because they want the peace of mind and they do not want to miss any payments to the bank. And of course, paying cash means you can avoid paying interest for the items you bought. Nowadays, there are a lot of credit cards that offer you 0% installments, so this particular pros is actually becoming more and more irrelevant as time goes on. And the cons of paying cash is merchants prefer you to have credit card or some debit card to proceed with the transaction. This is most common, especially when you are paying for accommodation or for your holiday trip. You will find it difficult because have you ever seen let's say hotel websites, they accept cash? No, right? Usually what they do is they ask you to key in your debit card or your credit card number and have the transaction recorded using that same credit card or debit card. If you still insist in paying in cash, you still have to have that credit card and down the line go to the hotel and pay it using cash. So the credit card is used like something like insurance for the travel company to make sure that you pay for the accommodation. Same goes for flight ticket as well. It is not really common to see people actually going to the counter and buy the airline ticket with cash. Usually nowadays you are paying using credit card or debit card. And if you have any issues with the merchant, let's say you buy a faulty product, some people call it a lemon product, so you have to directly go to the merchant to solve your problem. Whereas when you use a credit card, sometimes you just have to deal with the credit card company and the credit card company can help you deal with the merchant. So this will be discussed a bit later during the credit card section. So these are the pros and cons of using cash. So now we go on to credit. Credit doesn't mean credit card, but sometimes it can be considered as financing. So when you are actually buying a product using financing, you are technically signing up with the bank using credit card or debit card for a certain amount of time. Sometimes can be 6 months, 12 months, 24, 36 months installment. So whichever that suits your cash flow the most. So the pros of using a credit line is, of course, it's a more secure payment. So if you're using a credit card, your transaction is definitely recorded and secured from end to end, from your side and the bank side, which is exactly what I mentioned earlier. Sometimes when you have problems with the phone or any item that you buy, you have to deal directly with the merchant if you pay with cash. But if you use a credit line, sometimes you do not have to go through that hassle. And for new credit card owners, if you want to establish a good credit score, using a credit line to finance your purchase is the way to go. So that way the bank actually has a record of your payment method, whether you pay on time, whether you do not pay on time. So if you do not pay on time, I don't really suggest you using a credit line. But if you have the discipline and you can pay on time or ahead of time, so this is definitely a way to go. And using a credit line offers you fraud protection as well. So let's say you buy from a shady or not so reputable seller, sometimes you hesitate to buy from that person, but using a credit card at least can help you to solve a little bit of an issue if, let's say, the seller or the merchant decides to scam you. The cons of credit line is, of course, you are tied down with installments. So it is the same as saving for the items in advance. Over this one is down the line for the next however many months, you are actually tied down with paying the installment. If you are not disciplined and you pay the installment late, sometimes you get incurred a late payment fee or the interest fee. So end up your item becomes more expensive than what it's supposed to be. Remember, credit card interest can be as high at a minimum of 18%. So if you do not want to spend more than you should, then you have to discipline up yourself and make sure you pay the payment on time. So now that we have discussed both cash and credit line, the question becomes, when should you use a financing method to buy an item? Number one, if there is no incurred interest on the purchase. So this is like what I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Most credit cards nowadays have 0% installment. This is definitely one of the criteria in the selection of choosing your credit card. Make sure you get a 0% installment for your purchases. Number two, when you want to establish your credit score. So this is extremely good for new credit card users. If you want the bank to know that what kind of paymaster you are, then obviously you should go with financing. Number three, when your credit card offers you perks for financing. So this is for example, cashback credit card. So with certain amount of spending, you get a certain percentage of cashback. So this is extra saving. Rather than getting the item for, let's say, 3,000 ringgit, you get it for 29.50. So that is extra 50 ringgit in your pocket. Number four, if you want to manage your cash flow better, if you buy the item using financing or credit line, down the line you have to pay a certain installment for the certain item. So let's say you are able to allocate 200 a month to pay for the item, and after doing the calculation and installment and everything, you only have to pay 150. So this is actually helping your cash flow to manage your budget even better. And number five, if you have the discipline to pay your bills on time. So this is extremely important, and make sure that you pay your credit dues on time to avoid any late payment fee or interest. If you can fulfill 4 of the 5 criteria, in my opinion, definitely go with financing for your next purchase. But that is completely up to you, because you are the buyer and you decide how your budgeting goes for the certain amount of time you want to get the item. Some people prefer it to pay cash, some people prefer credit line, but no matter what you choose, definitely there is some strategy to it and type of budgeting that you require to do some research on to make sure that you can pull this off successfully. There is no right or wrong answer whether to use cash or credit line. Whatever you decide to do, that is completely up to you. It is your decision. So if this video helps you out, hit the like button and subscribe for more contents like this. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.